Okay, so welcome back. So we are in the middle of the series of most probable questions in polity. So till now we have done most of the part. Now few part is being left. We will cover it today and tomorrow. Okay, in 2 sessions we will be done, and then we will start with the current affairs for polity. It will take 1 or 2 classes again. So we will start with constitutional bodies. What are the constitutional bodies which are mentioned in the constitution? Okay, just a second. So constitutional bodies, what are the constitutional bodies which are mentioned in the constitution directly? Okay, for example, Election Commission of India, it's a constitutional body. UPSC, then Controller Auditor General, Finance Commission, State Finance Commission, State Election Commission, GST Council, National Commission for Scheduled Caste, National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, National Commission for Backward Classes, Special Officer for Linguistic Minority, Interstate Council, and there are few others also. These are the important. We will in detail we will see the 3: Election Commission, UPSC and CAG. Okay, and have some questions on them. Okay, so first is Election Commission of India mentioned in Article 324 of the Constitution. Okay, so talking about the Election Commission, it has composition of, currently there is composition of Chief Election Commissioner plus 2 election commissioners. Okay, there is no hierarchy here. Okay, Chief CEC is not above election commissioner, all are on the same rank. Okay, but if you take the committee, chairman will be Chief Election Commissioner. Okay, but they are on the same rank, no one is above or below. So this composition is determined by president. Okay, by president. This composition is determined by president. What is the composition? CEC plus 2 EC. Now this can change with time. There will be 3 EC, 4 ECs. Election commissioners can change with time. Presently we know there are 2 ECs. One of the election commissioner he resigned recently, and new election commission was appointed. Now there has been change in appointment procedure also since recent Supreme Court judgment, and the government came up with a new law. So we will see that also. So there is another thing called as regional election commissioner. For example, for state elections etc., regional election commissioner can be appointed to help this chief election commissioner. This is also appointed by the president. Okay, governor has no role in election commission. Everything is appointed by the president. Okay. Duty. What is the duty of this election commission? Duty is to conduct election for president, vice president, MPs, MLAs, preparing electoral rolls, appointment of various election officers, returning officer, district election officer, chief election officer etc., appointment of them. Okay, but not the local body. Local body elections are not done by election commissioner, that is done by state election commission. Okay, election commission does not indulge in local bodies, panchayats, municipalities, corporation. That election is handled by state election commissioner, not election commission. So these are the duties. Appointment. Now before, for example, last year, we can say a year back, appointment was done directly by president with recommendation from the central government. Whatever the central government says, president who will appoint. Then the case went to Supreme Court. Supreme Court said that election commission should be appointed based on a committee of 3 members. So what Supreme Court said? It should be based on, president should appoint it, no doubt. President appoints the chief election commissioner and the election commissioner as well. All the members shall be appointed by president on the recommendation of Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition in Lok Sabha, and Chief Justice of India. This is what Supreme Court said last year in May or June, I guess. Okay, but Supreme Court also added that this shall be the condition until Parliament makes any law regarding this. Until that time, this shall be the way election commissioner should be appointed. Then Parliament came up with a law, and Parliament removed CJI and added cabinet minister. Okay, so this was done by parliamentary law. So Parliament by law changed the composition of this committee, and now the committee consists of Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition in Lok Sabha, and one of the cabinet minister. These three will decide who will be the election commissioner and the chief election commissioner. Okay. So Prime Minister, LOP, and cabinet minister. This is now the condition. Now recently, I think yesterday itself, a case was filed against this appointment of the new election commissioner. Okay, but Supreme Court said no. We have already given the decision that Parliament law will go ahead. If means after our decision, Parliament will make whatever they feel fine. Okay, so current situation is that President will appoint the election commissioner and the chief election commissioner on the basis of recommendation of Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition in Lok Sabha, and cabinet minister. Currently, Constitution has not barred retiring election commissioners from any further appointment by the government. Okay, so basically, in many of the constitutional bodies, authorities, for example, CAG is a very important constitutional body. So generally, what has happened, to maintain their independence, to maintain their objectivity, there is no further government appointment to them. For example, if a UPSC chairman has resigned, for example, he has completed his tenure, he will not be appointed to any other government office, so that the independence of it is maintained. अब अगर इलेक्शन कमिश्नर को अगर रिटायर हो गया और तुरंत ही उसको किसी स्टेट का गवर्नर बना दिया, so then there will be some doubts that this election commissioner has acted in such a way that the central government has been benefited from it. So basically that was the case, but still election commissioners are not bad. Okay, they can be appointed in further government office. So this is one of the, we can say, lacunas in our system. Tenure. So what is the tenure of election commissioner? Either he goes for 6 years complete or 65 years, whichever will come first. 6 years means the tenure of 6 years, and if within 6 years he has completed his 65 years of age, then he will retire. And this is again directly by president's rule, means central government will decide this condition. Now current condition is 6 years or 65 years. Central government will decide this condition. Now the removal procedure. What is the removal procedure? So the chief election commissioner is removed same as the Supreme Court judge. Okay, Supreme Court judge is removed on the basis of two things, either misbehavior or proved incapacity. We have seen in the previous class in judiciary, and the procedure is determined by the Judges Enquiry Act. Okay, the same thing that in Lok Sabha it has to be signed by 100 members, in Rajya Sabha 50 members, then it will go to the presiding officer, then presiding officer has a say in it. If he says yes, then it will go to another committee of 3 members. So that's the procedure here. The same procedure as the Supreme Court judge, we have already discussed it. I will not repeat it again here. And the other ECs, other election commissioners are removed on the recommendation of CEC. Okay, so if the chief election commissioner recommends to remove one of the election commissioner, he can be removed. So this Supreme Court judge condition is applicable only for the chief election commissioner, not the other election commissioners. So CEC is removed same as the Supreme Court judge, and other ECs are removed on the recommendation of the chief election commissioner. The condition of the duty, salary etc. are all done by Central Government Act. Okay, central government, that means president's rule. Central government will pass certain rule and president will follow it. So all the conditions of the duty and salary will be determined by the central government. And currently the salary is as equal to cabinet secretary, and it is not charged on the consolidated fund of India. So basically, if a person's salary is not charged on the consolidated fund of India, means it is voted in the parliament. Now since it is voted in the parliament, basically putting salary under consolidated fund of India will ensure the independence of that person, but it is not done here. It is still not charged on the consolidated fund of India. Various commissions has come and gone and said that election commissioner salary should be charged on consolidated fund of India, so that it need not to be voted in the parliament. Okay. Then there is no suo motu power for election commissioner. Election commissioner cannot independently take any action without getting any complaint. Okay, no suo motu power. So in case of election commission, everything is almost decided by the government, central government. Okay, directly by the president's rule, not by parliamentary law, and neither it is given in constitution. So other duties of election commissioner: ensure the compliance of model code of conduct. We have seen during elections there is model code of conduct, and to ensure that it is followed by each and every party, that is the duty of the election commission. Then recognition of parties, it gives recognition to the party. Parties are to be registered in Election Commission of India. Okay, so recognition of parties, giving symbols to the parties. We have seen in Maharashtra recently, two parties have been split. There is a vertical split between two parties, and temporarily so election commission has allotted two different symbols to Shiv Sena. That was done away with now, and a different symbol for the Nationalist Congress Party of Sharad Pawar. Okay, so giving symbols to parties is also one of the things that ECI does, and quasi judicial duties. For example, if there is a dispute in party itself, then also election commission will take into action. The most recent case being the split in Shiv Sena and NCP in Maharashtra. So election commission has given its judgment that the main Shiv Sena belongs to Mr. Eknath Shinde, and the main Nationalist Congress Party belongs to Ajit Pawar, Mr. Ajit Pawar. Okay, so this is a quasi judicial duty of the election commission. Now the matter is still in Supreme Court, but still election commission has passed its judgment. Then we come to CAG, Comptroller Accountant General. So what did it mean by Auditor General? Comptroller Auditor General means, if you go by the definition, comptroller means he will control the expenses. Okay, or auditor general means he will look after the expenditure after it has been done. So in India, though the name is CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General, but in real sense, Indian CAG is not a controller. Okay, he is not a controller. What he is, he only does the post-mortem of whatever has been of the expenditure. He can only do the post-mortem. After the expenditure has already been done, then only he will give the report annually. So this is adopted from Government of India Act 1935. He is not a controller. The CAG in UK, United Kingdom, he is a real controller. Okay, he is also head of the Indian Accounts and Auditor Department, and as I have already told, he is not a controller, only the Auditor General. Appointment is done simply by President on the recommendation of the central government, nothing in it. Directly by President on the recommendation of the central government. Removal, same as Supreme Court judge, as we have seen in the earlier case regarding election commissioner. Tenure, it is given 6 years or 65 years. Now this is as per Parliament by law. Now we have seen in election commissioner, the tenure was 6. Election Commission of India, tenure was 6 or 65 years, but this was determined by President rule. Okay, means whatever central government will decide. Here I have written CAG. CAG is also 6 or 65 years, but this is mentioned in CAG Act. Okay, that is Parliamentary Act, not central government rule. Parliament has passed this act. This is directly given by central government. So this is the difference. So again, salary, allowances, pensions, etc. are based on Parliament by law. Again, the difference is that in election commission everything was done directly by central government, but here CAG has some CAG will be governed by parliamentary law and not directly by executive order. And his pensions, allowances, salary is charged on Consolidated Fund of India. This is again differing from election commission. He was not charged on Consolidated Fund of India. That has to be voted. This is directly charged on Consolidated Fund of India. No need to vote. It is already mentioned in the constitution. Okay, no need to vote upon it. So this will ensure the independence of CAG. No further office of CAG. So if CAG is retired, he will not be able to apply for any other government office. He is done. Regarding secret service expenditure and PSU. Okay, so secret service expenditure, for example, RAW, IB, their expenditure are not in consideration under CAG. CAG has no jurisdiction for expenditure of secret services. And public sector undertakings also, this auditing is done by third party which is appointed by CAG. Okay, so this is also third party, and secret service auditing is not under CAG and also not the PSU. Assisting the public account committees. So there are, you know, there are three fundamental financial committees. One is public account committee, estimate committee, and public undertaking committee. So this is public account committee. It helps public account committee to go through the CAG report. So these are the few duties and remarks regarding CAG. Okay, so other duties that duties are mentioned in CAG Act. I have already told you the CAG Act, which also mentions the salary of the person and the various duties, salary, tenure, duties. Majorly CAG is governed by this CAG Act, parliamentary law. Okay. So what are the duties? There are two duties majorly. First is regulatory audit and other one is proprietary audit. Regulatory audit means this is compulsory. Compulsory audit which is done by CAG, audit of Consolidated Fund of India, Contingency Fund of India, Consolidated Fund of all states, Contingency Fund of states, Public Account of India, Public Account of states, all the profit and loss statements of the governments and etc. Everything on receipts also, everything is regulatory audit, which is by regulation he has to do it. It is a compulsory. And one of the other thing that CAG has to do is proprietary audit. This is his discretion. Okay, means it's not compulsory, but still this has to be done. Proprietary audit means if money spent is spent with wisdom or not, or they have just spent it like this only, no reason given behind it. Okay, so basically this proprietary audit was behind the Commonwealth Games controversy that arose in 2012, okay, against Mr. Suresh Kalmadi. So that was based on proprietary audit, means the money was not spent in correct wisdom, means the amount of money which was spent was not required actually. That was the case here. But this audit is compulsory. Audit of the consolidated fund, all the funds of governments of state as well as the national. Then there are three reports of CAG: appropriation report, public undertaking report, and financial account reports. These reports are to be submitted to President. President will give it to both the houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, with the undertaking that. So basically, all these reports will be given to President. President will show it to both the houses. And similarly, if there is anything regarding the state government, he will give it to Governor, and Governor will show it to both the houses. Next is UPSC. So Union Public Service Commission under Article 315. So this is constitutional body. State Public Service Commission, in each state there is a State Public Service Commission. This is also constitutional body. And there is a Joint Public Service Commission. Means if two states request Union UPSC Union government to form a Joint Public Service Commission, then a Joint Public Service can also be implemented, but this will be by parliamentary law. Okay, this will be a parliamentary law. So JPSC is a statutory body, while UPSC and SPSC are constitutional body. Okay, so these are mentioned in constitution, but JPSC will then its origin will be by parliamentary law, not in constitution. If two states ask the union government. Now the appointments are done for UPSC, and the Joint Public Service Commission is done by President, while the SPSC, State Public Service Commission, is done by the Governor. Okay. Similarly, if UPSC or JPSC member has to resign, they has to resign to President. If SPSC member has to resign, it has to resign by the Governor. Okay. Similarly, if this members or President has to be suspended, then President will suspend JPSC and UPSC member, and Governor will suspend SPSC members. So this is the difference. Now you can see there is a governor role here. There was no governor role in Election Commissioner, neither in CAG, but there is a role of governor in this case. Now what is the tenure? tenure, it is mentioned for UPSC it is 6 or 65 years, and for SPSC or GPSC it is 6 or 62 years. Now the difference is that this is directly mentioned in Constitution of India. In case of CAG, it was given by parliamentary law, CAG Act. In case of Election Commission, it was directly given by the executive order, this by the central government. This is the thing. In CAG, it was by parliamentary law. In this case, it is directly given in Constitution. Okay, the tenure. Okay. Then comes removal. Now there are two ways of removal. Suspension we already talked. If they need to be suspended, JPSC, UPSC by president, governor will suspend the SPSC member. But the removal thing is, all the members, whether it be SPSC, UPSC, JPSC, every member can be removed only by president. Governor has no role in removal. Okay. So in two ways. What are the two ways? These two ways are mentioned in Constitution again. First is misbehavior. Condition is given misbehavior. Now what is misbehavior? This is also mentioned in few terms in Constitution. Okay, we will not go into that. But first way, under misbehavior, if a member or a president is misbehaving according to the Constitution, then Supreme Court will recommend president to remove that member or a president. Okay, Supreme Court will recommend, and this recommendation will be acting as a compulsion for president to remove him. So president will remove. Okay, so this is one way. Other way is that president can directly remove any member, any president by if is found the same thing that we have already written in case of in case of president. For example, unsound mind, office of profit, then one another thing is there, undischarged, insolvent, etc. So these are the few grounds where president can directly remove the officer, but this will be recommended by central government. Okay, central government will recommend president to remove that person on the basis of 3 or 4 items, and he will be removed. Governor has no role in removal of UPSC or any member. Composition, I have already told you, whatever the composition. For example, UPSC, there is a chairman plus whatever may be the members, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever may be the members. This composition is determined by president. JPSC, the composition is determined by president. Only State Public Service Commission, the composition is determined by the governor. Salary allowances, this is also directly mentioned in the Constitution. Salary allowances are directly charged on the Constitution of Consolidated Fund of India. Further offices, this is the main thing in this thing. And duties, we all know duties, carrying of examinations, etc. Then whatever the government asks regarding any new offices, transfer of officers, etc. There are many things under Article 320. Just look into Article 320, you will get the idea of what are the duties. And there is an annual report to be presented to governor or the president accordingly, and they will show it to both the houses. So the main thing here is that the further offices, for example, one is UPSC chairman, other one is UPSC member, then there is SPSC chairman and SPSC members. Okay, so further office means if a UPSC chairman is retired, 65 years are done, then no further office, no office. Okay, he will be sitting at home. If a UPSC member has come to means he has done his further office for UPSC member will be only UPSC chairman, no other office for him. Okay, SPSC chairman, now we know it's what is the day year, 6 or 62, but here it is 65, so there are 3 years left there. So he can be either member of UPSC member or he can be directly UPSC chairman also. Okay, and SPSC member can be SPSC chairman, can be UPSC member, can directly be UPSC chairman also. Okay, directly, yes, he is eligible. So this is how it goes, but UPSC chairman has no further office. Other constitutional bodies, for example, Finance Commission under Article 280. Finance Commission, every 5 years, President will appoint Finance Commissioner plus four members based on the recommendation of the government, direct government. What Finance Commission does? Duty of Finance Commission is, first, vertical distribution of resources. Vertical distribution means if there is a gross tax collect, so that has to be distributed between central government and the state government. So how it will be divided? That is called as vertical. Center and state, that is called a vertical distribution. Second is horizontal distribution. Horizontal distribution means how it should be divided among the states. Horizontal distribution. Third, augmentation of consolidated fund of state, so to support the panchayats and the municipalities. This is the another thing. Fourth, grant in aid criterias. So central government give grants to various states, so that criteria is also determined by this Finance Commission. Fifth, anything which is determined by the president. So these are the few duties of the finance minister. Appoint commissioner and 4 members are appointed by president on the basis of central government, okay, and their salary, conditions of work, etc. is everything done by the central government, directly by central government. Next is GST Council. This is by Constitutional Amendment Act, Article 279A. So GST Council, what are the members here? For example, chairman of GST Council is the Finance Minister of India. Vice chairman is the, I think is the Finance Minister for the state. Okay. So what is the quorum? Quorum for the GST Council? Means minimum members to be present for GST Council to take place is half members should be present. Then what is the majority? Majority is 3/4. Then what are the weightage of votes? Weightage of votes for central government it is 1/3 and for state government it is 2/3. What is the duty of GST Council? To determine what all should be included under GST, what should not be included in GST, then threshold of GST, who should pay the GST. For example, 40 lakhs should be threshold or 20 lakhs should be threshold of the overall turnover. Who will pay the GST, who will not, what are the bands, what are the different levels of GST. So all these things are done by the GST Council. Okay. So recent judgment of GST Council has been given in the Supreme Court that GST Council is an advisory body now. Okay. Then National Commission for Scheduled Caste, National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, both were included in combined effect in 65th Amendment Act. Okay, Constitutional Amendment Act. They were only one commission for SC and ST. Then in 89th Amendment Act, they were separated. 89 Constitutional Amendment Act, they were separated at National Commission for SC, National Commission for ST. National Commission for Backward Class, this was statutory. This was based on parliamentary law till 1992. Then it was recently it was converted into constitutional body. Okay, by I guess 105th Amendment. Okay, now it is also a constitutional body. So in all these three, NC, SC, ST, BC, few things are common. They are appointed by President. They have power of civil court. Means they can summon anyone, they can ask for evidences, they can issue documents, etc. Everything can be done by them. Appointed by President, they have all the powers of civil court. Okay. and the list for SCs, the union list for what caste should be included in SCs, what caste should be included in STs, and what are the castes to be included in OBCs. That is also done by this committee. And one more thing is interstate council. Interstate council, this was recommended by ARC, Administrative Reform Commission. So this is under 263, by presidential order interstate council has been installed. So this is also one of the constitutional body. So this is to sort out differences between various states and discuss upon various issues that are related to all the different states, for example state boundaries, etc. So this is ISC, Interstate Council. So what are the members of Interstate Council? Chairman is the Prime Minister. Prime Minister, all the CMs of states, then all the CMs of UTs with legislative body, then governors of President rule states and lieutenant governors of UTs without legislative body. Okay, so these are the members of Interstate Council. So we'll quickly go on to some questions and we'll be done. The GST, it's a constitutional body established under 279A for making recommendation on issues related to goods and service tax. Yes, the decisions of the council must be approved by half of its total strength. No, the majority is 3/4. So this is wrong. Voting share of each state in the council depends upon its population. No, it is directly given as 2/3. So this is also wrong. This is also wrong. Answer is only one. Zonal councils. Now we have seen interstate council. Zonal councils are not constitutional body. They are parliamentary law, by parliamentary law, statutory bodies. So article 263 of the constitution provides for establishment of zonal council. No, it provides for establishment of interstate council. Okay. So this is wrong. The Union Home Minister is the chairman of all the zonal councils. This is correct. And the vice chairman will be the CMs in rotation. Okay. All zonal councils were created at the same time? No. Okay. So there was a State Reorganization Act under which 5 zonal councils are created, and there is Northeast State Reorganization Act under which another zonal council was created. So this is also wrong. Only one statement is correct. Finance Commission is a constitutional body. Yes. Constituted every 5 years. Yes. It provides recommendation on distribution of tax revenues and grant in aid between state and center. This is also correct. State Council, Interstate Council. The Constitution has empowered Parliament to set the Interstate Council. No. It has empowered President. By President order, Interstate Council has been formed. The Council can inquire and advise upon disputes. Yes. So this is wrong and second is right. State Public Service Commission, which is not correct. All members are appointed by governor of the state. This is correct. Retired member of SPS is eligible for appointment as the UPSC chairman. This is also correct. Pension on the chairman and members of the commission is charged upon Consolidated Fund of India. State Public Service Commission and the recommendation made to the government are advisory in nature. This is also correct. This is not correct. SPSC member, their salary etc. are charged on the Consolidated Fund of the state. Okay. Constitutional Amendment Act 2021, 105th. It amended, gave constitutional status to NCBC. This is correct. This act enables states and union territories to prepare their own list of social educational backward class. This is also correct. This act mandates states and union territories to consult NCBCs in preparing this list. No, it does not mandate. Okay. Consider the statements regarding different constitutional bodies. The National Commission for Scheduled Tribes was created with the enactment of Constitution. No, we have seen it was enacted in 65th Amendment Act, not in the original Constitution. This is right. Wrong. So National Commission for Backward Class was created after Supreme Court judgment in Indira Sahane case. Yes, but it was not constitutional body. It was a parliamentary body. The National Commission for the Scheduled Caste has all the powers of a civil court. Yes. Okay. So two statements are correct. It's a constitutional body, facilitates consultative process between center and the state, and established on the basis of 101st Constitutional Amendment. So 101st Constitutional Amendment is means GST Council. Election Commission of India has the sole responsibility to conduct local body election. I have already told you Election Commission is not responsible. State Election Commissioner is responsible. So this is wrong. To ensure free and fair election, Commission can cancel the polls. Yes. In the event of rigging. It accords recognition and allots symbol to political parties, of course. Apart from legal regulatory audit, CAG can also conduct proprietary audit. So what is proprietary audit? It can audit accounts of recipients of government spending. No, this is not proprietary audit. It looks into usefulness and appropriateness of the government expenditure. This is called as proprietary audit. Usefulness and appropriateness, whether it is expenditure is appropriate or not, that is called as proprietary audit. So answer is B. Okay. So here we are done with the constitutional bodies, and so what is remaining now? Local bodies we will see tomorrow, and emergency provisions. So tomorrow's class will be the last class regarding this recurring topics, and then we will have one more class on, I guess, the current affairs. Okay. So thank you for the day.